tenemos otras variaciones.
So Nelson, maybe you can direct your people first on the left and on the right.
Be the director.
I don't direct. Aquí. Miremos acá, de izquierda. Miremos a la presente. Miremos a
And would you like to give me a look to my hands?
I like this.
And look up at me.
Okay, good.
Lisa, no?
Good. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Only you now.
Only director, please. Only director. Good luck, man.
Okay.
The phrase, because after it's you the other voice of Pepe and
Could I just get you?
yes, and then the producer and Nelson. So we
Eso no es.
Yeah.
Eso no es.
And just back on the right hand side. Just one here as well, please. Thank you. Sorry, just back here.
Yes, sir.
And one more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so Nelson and the actor.
Bueno, and Wolfgang, he's the hunter, he's the Pepe's killer. He's the person who killed the hippo. And he's German.
All right. So he knows his job.
And they are Pepe's.
All right.
Yeah.
And just next, just on the right here, thank you. Everyone just here, please.
Look up, como
All together.
Izquierda. Izquierda.
And one more time, just on the right here.
Derecha.
Thank you. All right. A killer view.
look up, como
Allá arriba. Acá. There.
Good.
Good.
Vamos.
Dankeschön.
Nelson, Pablo,
Italia.
Yes.
They are the producers.
Yes.
En el medio. Acá.
Look up, como
Allá. Derecha.
And just on the end here on the
a la
right.
izquierda, por favor.
Sí. Izquierda. Allá.
And one more just on the right here.
De nuevo acá a la
Just here.
derecha.
Thank you.
Alianza. Sí.
And one more, como
Allá arriba. Listo. Acá. Okay.
Thank you.
Dankeschön.
Thank you.
Coming up next is the press conference for the film Pepe by Nelson Carlos de los Santos Arias from the Dominican Republic. He has put his home country on the world map of cinema, and he was also a DAAD scholar in Berlin. So it's all the better that his film is now screening in competition here in Berlin. A very poetic film in which sounds, voices and noises are as important as the images. It tells the story of a hippopotamus, Pepe. Maybe it's already dead, we don't really know. Maybe only his voice is still alive. A very playful and at the same time very authentic film, Pepe.
Sie sollten die Einheimischen zwar mit Respekt behandeln, aber zu freundliche oder herzliche Gesten im Umgang und Gespräche im Allgemeinen vermeiden. Ja, müssen Sie bitte so machen, das verstehen die sonst falsch und dann wollen die immer gleich was von Ihnen. Das ist nicht so gut, ne?
Kunnen we daar kurz aanhouden?
Goedendag dames en heren, mijn naam is Shilly, ik is hier geboren. Seekoeie het altijd hier gewoond, die riviere is groot en vriendelijk, Ons allemaal is geboren rondom hulle bas.
Ja, also wie gesagt, er sagt, er ist hier geboren und die Leute wachsen hier ganz normal mit den Nilpferden auf. Ist gar nichts Besonderes, ist ganz normal hier. Gaan Chili?
Sommige mense glo dat die diere vir ons waarsku oor slegte dinge wat met ons gaan gebeur. Vir ons leer elke dier iets bas.
Ja, also die glauben hier, dass jedes Tier dem Menschen was beizubringen hat und die Nilpferde, die warnen den Menschen vor Gefahren und bösen Absichten und solche Sachen, ja.
Esa bestia gigante que retó a mi padre, mi hermano.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and welcome to the press conference of the film in competition, Pepe, in this 74th edition of the Berlinale. I would like to start by introducing you to the filmmakers behind this wonderful film. I will start on the other side of the table. Please welcome the sound designer, Nahuel Palenque. Next to him, interpreting the Afrikaans Pepe, Farid Machila. Welcome. And also interpreting Pepe, but the Paisa Pepe, please welcome John Narvaez. Producer Pablo Lozano. The producer Tania Valete. And they're responsible for it all because not only did he direct the film, he also wrote it. He actually also did the direction of photographing, and he's the editor. He also did the music and the sound design. Please welcome Nelson Carlos de los Santos Arias. Thank you very much. We have already a question here on the right.
Malik Berkati, Switzerland. I would like, the sound design is very rich, intense and complex. I would like to know how did you conceive it?
Nelson, you want to start? Because he started.
No, yes, exacto. What is it? Forgot. Sorry. What was the question? Because I thought, yes, I said, I heard sound design and I just thought, okay, it's not for me.
It's very rich and complex. How did you design it, conceive it?
Okay, so first, so we can understand the dynamic of the work, I think what I do basically, I mean, I do this sound design in the sense that I don't conceive the editing without, I cannot, because I do the editing myself, and I don't conceive a cut in the editing, the rhythm, the pace, without understanding how the film is going to work in terms of sound, and also in the sense that I produce, I think cinema and in the articulation between images and sound is what, the grammar of it. So when I finish this editing, this cuts, is already bring this certain type of sound design. It goes to professionals, You know, because I mean, what we understand about sound design, and Nahuel can explain a little bit better, it's just not the ideas of being creative in the sound. There's many other things, like every Foley, like all the ambience, all the cleaning of the dialogues, like how, like a lot of different tracks, like, and you know, and becomes a very complex work, and where basically what I delivered to Nahuel, it's something that serves me as an editor, as a filmmaker, and then of course this come another dimension. And Nahuel and I have been working since my last film, and I hope we can continue working there.
Okay. And the things I can add is maybe that we made like a 3 weeks shooting, but mostly with sound. So we went to Colombia, and we record like a documentary part of the movie, searching for the hippopotamus. But what I did in those 3 weeks was to get the materials with a lot of mics, so we can have like a good starting point for everything. So
yeah, it's a very complex, actually, sound production and the shooting. You know, like you say that a sound design, Nahuel was the one who told me that, and also my professor when I was in school, that the sound design actually starts in the microphone that you choose. You know, and Nahuel is an incredible sound recorder. It's like in the field. It's a person that create almost an installations when we are in the territory. He has like there's lots of microphones that are already recording this from a lot of perspectives. So he already knowing what is he gonna do in the end. So, you know, like, I don't know if you have seen Cocote, but something that was very for me was when, you know, Cocote has heavy rituals and like a lot of people shouting, and it was crazy. And one of the strategies that I used is I didn't want to cut. So I was taking one camera, another person had another camera, and Nahuel did, you know, like, we put all the microphones, and when I received this sound, it was like, I was like, wow, you know, what are you going to do with this? It was perfect already, you know, so it's an incredible field, you know, I don't know how to say, in Spanish we say sonido directo, like el sonido direct sound, like in the film recording and in the film shooting, sorry. So this is actually when starts everything, and of course stars. I mean, both of us we love experimental music. I actually come from experimental films, but first, before going to experimental films, I was coming from I love the experimental music and all the sound, you know. So already from my scripts, there are massive descriptions of what is it that I want in sound. So there is a guy in this even I don't like to intellectualize what I do in sound yet. It is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it is thought. What I don't like is why I'm doing this and why I'm not doing that. But I know what I am doing in the sense of in the praxis of it. Yeah.
And also I think that with Nelson we always conceive the movie like an experience with sound, like an immersive experience where you maybe can close your eyes and listen what is happening, and maybe like if it were like a record or something like that, you know. It's we work in that way with the materials, and and trying to create these landscapes with the sound that we record, but then looking for some sound design and processing and creating new worlds.
He mentioned the word landscape. It's something that is interesting to say, is that something that I started to do in this film was that I decided to so the modes of production, I wanted to mix them, and I was writing, and at the same time I was thinking this sound landscaping, and I started to conceive this kind of music that you hear in the film was already, so I was just creating this music, and at the same time I was writing. And I remember me just writing and using Ableton and like putting whatever I would just spend, like, I don't know, if I spend 4 hours writing the script, it would be like with this, jungle houses. There's jungle sounds in my house. The sound here is very good. I don't know. The sound system actually.
Very good technique.
Thank you very much. We have a question here in the middle.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es
Hello, good morning. My name is Carla Hanover from the Berlin Amateurs magazine and La Ramona in Bolivia. The subject of hippopotamuses is something that is very current in Colombia and for the Colombian government. What was your motivation to work with this topic? That was my first question. My second question, and I think you already talked about it a little bit, is how you developed the script. Could you tell us a little bit about the process of writing the film? How long did it take you to write a film such as this? And last of all, congratulations. It is a wonderful film. Thank you very much.
No, a ver, yo siento
Look,
como, te respondo en español o...
I'm going to answer in Spanish. I think it's the best.
En español, no hay ningún problema.
There's no problem, right?
¿Hay traductores?
Sí.
1, 2, 3.
Mira, ahí te saludan.
1, 2, 3. It's fine, twice.
There are translators.
Ya me acordé.
Okay, what was the question? Yes, sorry, there was a party last night.
No, a ver, sobre...
Okay, no, you asked about the situation in Colombia. Now, the situation in Colombia with the hippopotamuses is something that I didn't really want to refer to necessarily. It is not my place to talk about the problem of hippopotamuses in Colombia. Our countries, everything becomes political, everything becomes politicized. Every country has certain issues that are never resolved, and they are constantly politicized. And every now and again, every 4 years, let's be honest, they, rear their head. And the hippopotamuses is something like that in Colombia, because it became this issue related to the narcos and to the political construction of a campaign. So it became part of a political campaign that is not something I want to get involved in. That is not something that interests me. What I was interested in was all the symbolism, everything that emanates from this story, a story that evidently reminds me of the stories related to this historical emigration from Africa to the Americas, because it was this first wild herd outside of Africa. And so I was thinking about displacement, about movement, about ecological processes. Colombia has a huge amount of water. Africa is running out of water. What happens to those animals that are dying in Africa? So Pepe, he's a cimarrón. Those were the black slaves that escaped. They escaped from their masters and they went to live in the mountains. That is called a cimarrón. And so Pepe also is a cimarrón. And I am from the Caribbean region. I am from the Dominican Republic. And so I'm always thinking about this history. Colonization it was a pandemic we're still suffering from, and the Caribbean was really the starting point of colonization, especially the island of the Dominican Republic, Hispaniola. And so not necessarily the Colombian problem was something I wanted to deal with. Of course, even though I don't want to deal with that, it is a film that takes place in Colombia. And so in Colombia, it's going to be viewed through that lens, obviously. And I also want to take the film to Colombia, and I want to see how people talk about the film in Colombia. And, well, how I developed the script, it's like, the mycorrhiza in the ground. I go to the script based on my feelings related to the territories, and I apply social sciences, ethnography, anthropology, and there is a prior aesthetic research. I come from experimental cinema, and people who come from experimental cinema, we're almost like animators. We are testing, we're always testing the limits. And animators, that's what they do. They work frame by frame. And there's part of that in experimental cinema. It's not just a camera like shaking around. No, it's a very complex technical job. We prepare very, very well. We do a lot of prior work, and we work very deeply in terms of the substance of the film. And so here we are researching the bodies, the lands, the territories, and that takes me to write, that takes me to, immerse myself in the territories, and that is the basis for a solid script, because I was working with, natural actors, non-professional actors, and there's not this idea, there's not this global strategy of how actors have to work. We're talking about real people and how they live. And so, well, some actors are maybe professional, some actors are not. I have natural actors who don't know how to read. There are many characters in this film, and every person, has their own method of organizing themselves, and I believe in how they work so they can understand their character. In that sense, I don't know if that answers the question. Was there something else? No, that was it. How long did it take you to write the script, the screenplay? In this case, it took a bit longer because of the pandemic. It was a script that started at the end of 2019, but of course then everything stopped. And so it became even more potent as a script throughout that process, and my process of researching the voices. And I was trying to record the voices, but it ended up sounded like something from the Thundercats. Or it sounded like Darth Vader. And so I said, Nelson, this is not your job. You're not the right person to do the voices. So I found these wonderful actors for Afrikaans and for Spanish. And well, again, we were just waiting for them to let us go and film. The script was ready. We were waiting for them to let us go and film, which was March 2021. And that's when I went back after a long pause, and I went to see, okay, what did I actually write here? Does this establish a true dialogue with the land? And well, the dialogues themselves, that comes after the casting. And when we're talking about giving words to this filmed subject and to their oral expression, well, that is something that continues to develop throughout that process. Thank you very much.
Over here, and then there.
Hi there, Philip Alterman from The Guardian in the UK. I have two questions for Nelson. I read that you compared Pepe the hippo to Moby Dick, the white whale, and I would just be intrigued to hear a bit more about what you meant by that. And the second question is, the film has a section set in Namibia which raises the colonial history of Germany's colonial history in Namibia, and it has a German hunter who shoots Pepe at the end.
Say it, don't worry, say it. Yes.
It's tough.
Look, he's there. This is the killer.
I just wondered why you'd chosen to introduce that, to have that German dimension there.
But where did I say that? I want to know. I want to show me where did I say Moby Dick? Really, I didn't. Did I say that? No. Who told you that?
It's online.
Online? It's me saying it?
I think so, yeah, that's why I read it.
Yeah. No, I actually never, I never read Moby Dick. So, it's weird. No, I don't think so. But, no. No, yes, I'm not going to invent my answer because I actually never read Moby Dick. No, I can tell you something that is nice if you want, and which is that you know that there was an animal in the beginning, right? And then the ancestor. Once, some of them went to the ocean, and they became the whales, and the ones that stayed in land became the hippos. So whales and hippos have the same ancestor, and they have the same skin. And when you spend time with hippos, you start seeing the whale-ish of them. But yeah, Moby Dick, sorry. But that's a good biological. Is it not nice that they are, I don't know, family? And what was
going back to the question of Germany? You do have a German co-producer, huh? And maybe this is a good moment to.
What is it that they said about the German co-producer?
Well, since the question was, the German element in the film, but this is maybe a good option also to speak about the co-production that you guys put together, which includes Germany as well, and maybe ask the producers how you put this whole thing together.
Oh yes.
The colonial side, we share it because we are Dominicans. So Nelson wanted to combine the.
No, but if you're not gonna answer, I will have to answer because it's actually because what Bas wants to talk is how did you guys build this very difficult film in terms of the production. But if you want the colonial thing, like actually the hunter, the hunter, what it is true what the film says, like in my way, but it's true, like when this hippo goes so far from the herd, the Colombian army tried to hunt, but they didn't know how to trace this hippo. So they hired this German person that arrived in Bogota around in the 60s and the 70s, and of course in the tradition of Germans and the high class, he was the only one who knew how to safari and hunt, and so he is actually the one that traces this animal and kills it. When I get in 2019, I won the Berliner Kunst program at das DADA, no? So this is when I learned that Germany actually had a colony, no? Because this is a fact that most of the time we don't know that Germany had a colony. So. In the film, there is a philosophical image that I started to think, which is the circularity of coloniality. And this circularity of coloniality, where you cannot escape that produces a subjectivity, which is Eurocentrism. How do we escape from there? Perhaps just, perhaps it's death, or a symbolic death. The act of decolonization somehow. So that's why my film starts in Southwest Africa, which was a colony of German, but at the same time, but at that moment in 1979, the Germans lost the first World War, so this territory passed to the British, right? But then the British, after the Second World War, gave a lot of colonies, and this became part of the Afrikaans in South Africa, and they had the apartheid. For me, started the film in a historical context of the apartheid, in a film that Pepe, it's almost a decolonial philosopher that, it's almost kind of his own poetry around this situation. I think it was very, very strong to show symbolically the circularity and that there's no escape of Eurocentrism somehow. Okay, so if you want to talk about the production and the circularity in the production system with France, Germany, Namibia and Dominican Republic, please.
Yes, because it is cemented on this. We had the opportunity to have a Caribbean-African co-production, and this was very important for us. And in order to make that co-production happen, we used the mechanisms, once again Eurocentric, of funding, and we got wonderful German co-producers, and we did a Dominican-German co-production first, then we did a Dominican-French co-production after, and in both cases we won the ACP complementary production awards as well, which are like African, Caribbean, and Pacific funds. In this case, in an organic way, because we were actually cementing ourselves into this idea of the production was really taking place in those territories. And this is a very beautiful case of uniting this identity of Latin America, because it's a Dominican film, mainly from the Dominican Republic, that takes place in a Latin American territory, and that is Afro-Caribbean co-production. So for us, this was wonderful.
No, and I want to add something that, for us, that we are from national, we are this cinema that is from the periphery. It's almost that we are, it's like a prison somehow. We can only make national cinema in this funding system. It is the Europeans or maybe the Americans who can actually receive money and go out in the world and make films and be able to speak about the world. And that is something that it was very hard to make, because in terms of a structure, right? In terms of a structure and the funding structure, it is basically almost impossible for us to actually, okay, I'm Dominican, but you know what? I want to talk about the world. I want to go. So that was a hassle. So I actually want to, and our film commission, the Dominican Film Commission, had to make malabares. I don't know how to say that in English.
We had to innovate every step of the way.
He had to juggle in order to say, okay, how are we gonna try to and this was a very, it seems like a production decision, but it's also a political decision, because, yes, I mean, we are trapped in this idea of national cinema. And for me, that I always wanted to talk about the world. I left my country when I was 20 years old. I've been living all over the place. And actually, the things that I want to talk, not necessarily are, of course, I always think through my Dominicanness or my Caribbean, because I am from there. I cannot, there is something very, very, very important to understand. We cannot get out of our cultural context, but we can be aware of it So, and of course, this awareness is through, you know, getting to connect to other, to put the world in relation. So this voice, this universal voice, is never from us, you know, and that, because we always, you know, let me tell you something. Latin America, Africa, Asia, you know, like this peripheral cinema has always been talking about representation, right? Like, okay, post-colonial, decolonial theory, I have to come and talk about this, you know, oh yes, how are we going to represent? But it's in the money. It is in the money where the real colonial power structure relies. You know, how this money is given, how can you use this money? And this money, sometimes it's a trap, sometimes it's not. So, yeah, it was very hard to make this film and be able to be
Dominican.
No, Dominican. No, it was international. To, you know, to in order to be in Dominican and being able to talk about the world and to film the world through this funding system. So yes,
you did an amazing job. It worked really well. I'm truly sorry, but we have only 2 minutes left, and we have too many questions.
And I speak a lot.
We only have very short last one, and I'm truly sorry we don't have time for more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Giffen Dub. I'm coming from Equatorial Guinea, Malabo. I don't know if people here knows where is Equatorial Guinea or where is Malabo. I'm here to represent Afrique Media Television and the program Diaspora Connect Africa. So we are here to find out, to look for African people that are doing something here in the Berlinale. So this is why I will be very happy to answer 2 questions, maybe very quickly, to Farid Medjila and John Navarez. So this
Navarez.
Yes, Navarez. Sorry. So I just want to share your own experience, you know, in the production of, in the making of this film. Sorry for my English. I speak French, so I'm trying in English. So I want just you to tell us how was your experience, you know, to talk about something that is so important for Africa. We are talking about decolonization, and it's not easy to talk about it worldwide, and with you know, the money coming from some countries of the world like Germany. So please just let us know how was your experience and what that production, what the making of that film changed in your own mind and your own thinking about colonialism, you know, history of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi. Well, my experience when it came to making this film, it was unique. It was a very different experience because obviously I had to voice act in Afrikaans, which is my second language. But Afrikaans is it's the first language to a lot of people in Namibia. English would be as well. So when it came to filming or even just rehearsing of it, you know, I had to immerse myself into this character of Pepe. You know, I had to be one with what I call it as the hippopotamus of Pepe. So wanting to be part of this whole co-production, to make Namibia not just a country, but to bring forth the film industry. You know, it played a big role for me when it came to performing and acting in it. So when it came to also just the whole idea of colonialism for Namibia and the whole film, and a lot of people will be like, okay, well, you know, there's a German actor who kills Pepe, you know, who's from Namibia, and is taken all the way to Colombia and all of that. A lot of people will see it differently, you know, politically, but me personally, I believe it's more than that, you know. Film should be more than just storytelling, and that's what I love.
My experience in this film continues. You know, I just saw that they were looking for somebody to play the voice of a hippopotamus. And when I saw that, I said, hey, this is me. But they just didn't know it yet, that I was the right person. I knew it, but they didn't know it. So right from that moment, we were going to record in Medellin and then finish in the Dominican Republic, as Nelson described. This is basically where colonization started, the Dominican Republic. That's ground zero. Well, in the middle of the process, I had an accident and I lost my voice. And today I'm going to watch the film for the first time here in Berlin. And again, I'm still recovering my voice. And I'm going to hear my voice while watching the film. So that's going to be part of my own personal journey, of my personal journey and of my own search, and of my own questions as well. So it's been a wonderful experience for me. I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful world premiere today of Pepe. Thanks.
Gracias.
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 Alles klar.